Hey guys, what's going on? This is Sam from Education Hunt. Thanks for stopping by. Education Hunt brings you the best in ed tech each week. We pick out two high impact resources with one random, intriguing, relevant resource to accompany it, and it's delivered each Tuesday. We say it's the best 45 seconds of your day. I encourage you guys to sign up if you haven't already done so, or spread the word. Hook up with us on Twitter, Ignite Duval at greater than 1,000. Today I have Timeline. Come see. Timeline is a new way to read the news. Before we dig into that, quick pet peeve, quick thing that I notice. History, social science, one of the things that is super easy to fall in the habit of doing is teaching chronologically or teaching in a timeline. And we do that really well. The thing that some of us don't do so well is making the connections or connecting the dots for our students of how things are interrelated. So history doesn't happen in a vacuum, isolated, singular events. Often they're tied together and they are connected in ways that is sticky and messy and in fact very difficult to separate. Yet when we teach it, it happens often, or at least the way students understand it, is singular in nature. With that being said, timeline. It's a new kind of way to consume news, consume information. Certainly one thing that I like seeing is sharing content outside of class beyond just the same old boring, do a current event, bring in the current event. Nope, I'm talking about pushing and sending out information to supplement what you're talking about in class, to really get a fire going for kids, to get that interest in whatever your topic is that you're discovering. Timeline could be your next best friend. What they've done is reimagine how we read news. What I see is that I read a mile wide and about 2 inches deep. And so if I see something I'm interested in, I'll go and search, well, what happened before that? And then what happened before that? And it's like the rabbit hole, the academic rabbit hole, where you keep going farther and farther down. And it takes time. And if you're not as, maybe we'll use a friendly word, interested, some people call me obsessive, in a topic, it'll never happen. Timeline takes away that barrier. And what they do is they're interested in connecting the dots of history. So you can, when you go to visit the site, you have a number of news stories, many of which are going to be related to the biggest headlines of the day. Here's a good one: Ukraine simmering separatist conflict. And what they do is redesign how you experience the news. So you have the current event, but then you have the history that accompanies it. How do we get to this point? What's going on with Ukraine and their neighbors? Why is it so tense? So these are things that you may have as an adult because you have a lot more experience, but for a 14-year-old, their time, is relatively limited. So they're not going to have that same background information. So right off the top, what they do is they give you a brief. Think of this as the who, what, where, when, and why. And then, in a wonderful way, they take you through a timeline, but not in the way that we typically use timeline in a negative sense in history. They connect the dots. So that 2-minute investment in reading the news now gives your students, or really anyone else, a lot richer or a lot more complete idea. And then at the end, you have a chance to share out. So you can share that by email if you have a mailing list in your class, Twitter if you have that way to connect with your kids, or you have a Facebook page or group or section for your classes. You have ways to put those things out there, or you can just grab that URL and then share out from there. If you really like different articles, you can save parts of them, and then you can go from that point there. Users create an account, and from that point you can actually see different things that you have saved and then revisit it for another time, which is really neat. You can explore topics by different categories, so you're not limited to just a linear way looking for news and events. You can pull into whatever your topic or interest is going to be. And again, that beautiful design. You start with your brief, and then you go back in history and you take a look at how we came to these different points. So it's not meant to be exhaustive, but what it does really well is gives you context for what you're reading in a very short period of time. So this is, again, something I think that could be very powerful in connecting dots for your students, especially. First of all, is getting them to read. Imagine if we can get them to read, and then in the process you give them a ton more background information without doing extra work, and it looks really good. To me, that might be a no-brainer. Take a look at Timeline, give it a try, let us know what you think. Connect with us on Twitter, Ignite Duval at greater than 1,000. We always read email. You can email me, Sam, at igniteduval@gmail.com. Visit our Facebook page. Be sure to give us a like, or tell us what you think. Next week we have coming up a lot of different resources that will look at ways to connect with other teachers. If you haven't already done so, sign up for the mailing list, Education Hunt. Again, like we said, 2 high-impact resources with 1 intriguing but relevant resource from around the web. Sign-up's free at this point, and you can hop on the mailing list, delivered each Tuesday. It's the best 30 seconds of your Tuesday afternoon. Until next time, guys, I'm Sam. Thanks for stopping by.